Hello everyone, Don here again with a progress report, update report on my war Corsair. Today is Monday evening. It's dark out and raining, spitting snow. I did make it down to the airport Saturday. It was a nice warm day, 50 degrees. So I got the airplane all pulled outside and the winds were already picking up. I got down there just after noon, 12:30, 1 o'clock I guess. And the winds were terrible. They were out of the southeast, mostly south, so you're talking 80 again to 90 degrees crosswind. And the windsock was standing straight out a lot of the day. And I guess it's a 28 kilometer windsock, which means it's 15 knots or 17 miles per hour when it's fully extended. So they were definitely, 15 plus. The weather was calling for like 25, 27 mile per hour. And we got it just as I got down there. But I did manage to take it out once down to taxiwood. I taxied around for almost 10 minutes, just getting the plane up to temperature. And then I went down to the west end of the airport because the winds were favoring the east, but still mostly direct crosswind. So I ended up going down to the west end of the runway. By the time I got down there, the airplane was up to 180 degrees, running good. And I had my camera mounted on the plane, but I didn't turn on. Usually I like to do one pass first and then come around, and if that goes well, then I'll turn the camera on. Well, everything was great. I took and started to roll out and was in no hurry because of the wind. I was taking it slow. And down on the west end, it's pretty boxed in with trees on the south side, so the winds weren't coming through there. But every now and then, I'd hit a little bit, and it would push me a little to the right, try to weather vane and push on the tail and make me steer a little right, but I was able to keep it centered, and I just slowly kept increasing the speed up. And I got up to 30, and it was tracking really nice with that toe out. Now it's tracking really good, and the tail wheel was holding steady. Got up to 35, headed towards 40, and then I was getting close to the turnoff point to go back into the ramp area. So I pulled the throttle back, and I no sooner pulled the throttle back and the wind, I hit an opening there where the wind came through, and it just hit my tail and tried to weather vane the plane. It made a right turn towards the right side of the runway, and by this time I'm only going 25 mile an hour or less. So I get on the brakes, and it's still wanting to turn, so I had to hold the left brake harder to correct for it. But I figured, yeah, that's too much wind. So I just taxied a little bit farther, turned off, took it back in, and put it away. So that's all I managed to do. There was nobody there. There was a guy working on the helicopter. The helicopter made its way back again. So there was a mechanic in there working on a tail rotor. But nobody came in or out that day. It was just too windy, I guess. And it was warm, but just too windy. It was warmer outside than in the hangar. So what I got going on here, and then yesterday, Sunday, it was just rainy, spitting snow, and cold, and windy. It was supposed to be like 30 mile an hour gusts yesterday. What I got here is I'm making this is a 1/5 scale model of a Canopy jig. This is the type of form that you would use if you want to blow the canopy out like a bubble. So you would make this out of 3/4 inch plywood, and you'd have a whole bunch of bolts all the way around this. What this is just a 1/16 inch piece of natural rubber. What do they call it? Same stuff you make balloons, latex rubber. 1/16. I thought it was going to be too thick, but anyway, what I did is this is a 1/20th scale. This represents the front bow. This is around the front, and this represents the rear bow on the canopy. So this is the whole canopy from here around to here. But in order to blow one, you got to have excess in the front and back. So this here is a radius of this dimension here to try and make this come out round. And then this is a slightly narrower. As you can see, the sides taper on this towards the back. And then I had this cut a little short, and it was making kind of like a rounder bubble, but it still looked like it needed to go back. And I had 2 sets of holes here drilled for these bows. This one is where the canopy would stop curving and then kind of slant downward to this one. So I put it onto this one because this is the actual rear placement, and before I was testing it up here. But anyway, I want to show you what happens. This will give you a good idea of what you can expect when you try to blow this out of plexiglass. Now this whole thing, like I said, will be made out of 3/4 inch plywood bolted together, and I'll probably use somewhere between a 3/16 inch, 1/4 inch piece of plexiglass. And then this whole unit will go in my oven, which I'm using right now for heating the garage. I got the door cracked open and a fan on, box fan on there to move the air around. And it works pretty good. So what you would do is I'd lay the cabinet down flat, and I'd take this and put it on top of it. And I'd make this so it basically fits on the oven with the door open laying on its back, and then on the ends I'll have like a couple strips of wood if it's not too long, so I can contain the heat in there, and this will be pointing down. And then on the back side I have an air hose. This is just a small one for this little guy, but on the other one it'll probably be 3/8 inch hose or something like that. Now what happens is I got this hooked up to a regulator, and it's not even reading. So it's not even 5 pounds of pressure, if that gauge can read that low. I can blow on it with put it in my mouth and blow it and make it go out about half. But by doing this scale replica, I can play with this dimension here, play with this dimension. This is going to be fixed because that's the sides of the canopy, they're straight. But by playing with this and playing with this arc, I can control the shape of the bubble, how much of the bubble is, and then before it tapers down. So, alright, I'm going to go ahead and put this on here on my tripod. Get in there. Alright, I'll zoom it in so you can get a good view. This is going to give you basically a good side profile of what it's going to look like. Unplug it. There you go. Okay. So what I got here is, if you could see it, is just my air chuck hooked up to this air. Now watch as I apply air to this thing. You'll be able to see the profile of this thing coming out. And the idea is to blow it up until it touches these hoops. And look at that, it touches them almost simultaneously. The front was a little more than the back, but that's the basic profile of the canopy, and it also bulges it out over here a little bit. But this will basically be cut off clear back here, and then it's long on the sides too, so it's going to be trimmed up here on the real one. But that's kind of what we're looking at, if you can see that profile. So we're going to be somewhere right about there. It should be a little more humped. The bubble should be more humped up here and then taper down, as you can see, the longer base here. So that's not looking too bad. I was thinking I might need to shorten this side up a little bit to give it a better bubble on the front side out here. You want more of the ball to be here and taper back as it goes. So I made this before, like I said. The new one I drew up, this is going to be a little shorter up here on the front edge. So that'll help make this a little more round through here. But that's the idea of blown canopy. And this will be hanging down into the furnace oven. So as it blows, gravity will help hold it. If you have this thing setting up this way, gravity tends to pull down and it may tend to sag somewhere up here even though it's under pressure. So let me pull this off real quick and give you the look-see of what it's doing. Zoom back out, grab my gun here, and I can just play with this pressure. It comes right up to the bow in the front. At the same time it meets the bow in the back. I'm just playing this. It won't hold air. It's got a little bit of a leakage. Only because I've only got a few clamps around it. That's kind of what I'm looking to do, and then you can see the top profile aired up. You can see how it does bubble out some on the sides once it touches right there. So hopefully this will be high enough now that it would clear my head. So by doing it this way, let the air out of this thing. Just disconnect the thing here and let the air out. By doing this way, to a scale dimension, it will save you from ruining plexiglass. You make one template, and then, by the way, the inside of this template is, still got some air pressure in there. The inside of that template has a 1/4 round radius on it to help keep from digging into the side of the plexiglass. But that's the general idea. By doing this pattern, I can play with these edges until I get the shape and contours I like, and then I just take that up to full scale, which is 5 times, because again, this is 1/5 scale, 20% of what my airplane is, not what the real one is. The real one would be a lot more than that, be double. So that's what I'm doing there. Now I also been working on the retractable gear safety lights, the up lights and down lights, and I've got that all rigged up in the house. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and shut everything down out here for the night, and then I will go inside and continue this video in the house to show you what I come up with my lights. It's pretty snazzy how it's going to work. So hang on, I'll be right back. Okay everybody, I'm back now. What I got here is basically a complete mock-up of the tail wheel assembly. This is the exact same type motor that's in the tail of the plane. I've got a power supply set up for 12 volts, and right now it's only 0.05 amps, and that's only because this is powered up. And my little red LEDs there. Let's see what happens when I turn this off. Okay, it dropped a 10. Anyway, this is the speed controller I was talking about to regulate the speed of this. So let me give you a short, quick, show you how that works. Okay, this would be like gear operating, because this is a 3-position, 2-way double throw switch. Double throw means it's got 2 rows of contacts. 3-position because it has center off, on is up, on down, center off. So in the airplane, this is a 2-position switch, up, down. And then your power comes in, 12 volt power comes in the middle, and then when you flip the switch, it goes out through here, it goes to this relay. Flip the switch up this way, it comes out through here, goes to this relay. One relay is up, one relay is down. And then this little gizmo here is the speed controller, which regulates the voltage. It does a PWM voltage pulse through these relays. So power and ground are both wired into both relays. So when you flip the switch here, all it does is sends a power to energize one or the other relay. So let me just go ahead and turn it on one position so you can see how the motor runs. That's one way. Now if I flip it the other, see it's counterclockwise, clockwise. That's for up and down. Now this is the speed controller here. If I vary this knob, you can see this will go right down to a crawl. Right about there. Let's see what happens if I turn it off. Turn it back on, and it still goes. And then you can't stop this thing. You can't hold it. Not at all. So, but this is basically full speed, and that's what it runs at in a plane. And this thing only has to go like a half a rotation, so it goes slam, slam, slam. And I want to slow her down so she's rolling, probably something like that. So that's what that does. Okay, now what I got here is I have 3 different these are just little 3mm LEDs. You can see the red one is on because neither one of the switches for the up switch or down switch has been energized yet. So the motor is going to run until I hit a switch. So let's try. Yeah, we're coming through here to this relay. So this relay is this switch. So when the gear, say it's in a position where it's going up, once it goes up, watch these LEDs. There's left LED green. That's your up light. The red light went off. And then if the gear is moving again. Alright, now let's take and reverse this rotation. And now it's going to be this top switch. Now watch the red light go to the right, green. So that tells me that gear, the tail wheel is up. It's in transition. Let's flip her back down. And when it's all the way down, click, you get a green light. But instead of 3 LEDs per gear, I need 3 for each wheel. Tail wheel, left, right, main. You can get these LEDs in what they call RGB, red, green, blue. So it'll be one bulb with 3 colors. It'll have 4 pins. One pin goes to power, and the other 3 activate the blue, red, or green. So when the gear's up, that'll be blue. When it's in transition, it's red, and when the gear's down, it'll be green. So when you get all 3, you'll see 3 green lights for down, and you'll see 3 red lights if the gears are off the switches, and then you'll see 3 blue lights when the gear are all up and tucked in. So I have it covered on all bases. And then the speed controller. See, these switches work independent. That's like the up switch, down switch. They all work independent of each other. And this is the low voltage circuit. All it does is trigger these relays. The high voltage flows from the power in into the speed controller, and then out of the speed controller into the relays. So the center pin is ground, which is 87A. 87 is 12 volt power coming off of it. 12 volt power goes to 87. Pin 85 and 86 are the triggers. So this will trigger like 85 for each one, and then 86 is just grounded through these switches. The ground goes through these switches, comes back, and then eventually ends up here at this ground. So all I really need to do, the switches for the main gear are wired left and right, are parallel. So you have 2 wires. You have wire coming from relay to one, and then it just jumpers over to the other side, and vice versa. So each wheel is like that. So all I really need to do is take that jumper, and the only thing I have to do to make this red light work is I have to run the ground. Basically, the wire power, the switch triggers this normally open, comes through normally. Yeah, this is normally closed, the top's normally open, so it comes through here, goes out through the ground. But I have to run the ground into the input of this one, and then to ground to make this light work with both up and down. So whenever it's transitioning, whether it's going up or down, we're going to have a red light. When the gear's up, it'll be blue. When the gear's down, it'll be green. So that's the only thing. So by having 2 wires here, I can reuse one of those wires for the center, and the lights are just triggered off of the normally closed switch here in the middle. Normally closed, normally open. Normally open, excuse me. It's closed, open. So when the switch is hit, it triggers this switch, and that's what turns the light on. So it's a little complicated, but these relays are basically being run backwards. Your power would normally come in on 30 and go out 87, but 30 hooks to the motor. So when these relays are not energized, like right now, both the leads on this go through each relay to ground. So both legs are grounded here. And when you trip one of these relays on, like this, then that switches from a ground, that switch switches to 87. So you're going through 30 out to 87, now it's 12 volt power. And then when the other one triggers the other relay, you get the opposite effect. That leg now becomes power, and this is ground. But they're both always grounded when the circuit is off. When all the switches are closed, everything's working. So that's kind of how that all works. So I wasn't able to do any video on Saturday. I was only down there about an hour and a half. It wasn't too cold, but it was just too windy to do anything. And once I got that first run in, it's like, no, I'm not going to take a chance with the second run. I don't know that we're going to have any more good days after this. It's rainy, snowy today, and going to be snowing tomorrow. So I mean, it's getting. I mean, I'm surprised I've been able to go out this long. So may or may not see any more updates down at the airport for this. This stuff can be put in anytime. I'm still waiting on these LEDs, the RG red, green, blue LEDs to come. There was a pack of 25 for like $7, and they're 5 millimeters, so they're a lot, just under quarter inch, like 200 thousandths diameter. So they're bigger than this. And then these LEDs, as you see, they're not very bright until you look at them. Then they're bright. So, and those will be sticking out through the panel, 2 high and 1 low. So you got the mains and tail. So they'll be, but like I said, all 3 of these are going to be in 1 bulb, and there'll be 3 sets, three bulbs with 3 LEDs each. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to be doing much because January, February is going to be the nastiest time of year. Now I may continue working on this project to get a new canopy blown over the winter possibly. If not, I'll be working on my Mustang project. When I get these LEDs in, I can do a little bit of pre-wiring, but I got to order probably 100 feet of wire just to have extra so I can run lights to the wingtips eventually and landing gear lights and things. So, and those will all be LED as well. Alright, so I guess that's going to do it for this video update. Let me go ahead and turn this thing off. And there's the little jig from outside. I didn't put any bolts through here because I didn't want to ruin this piece of rubber. So I just grabbed this in the vise, pinched it here, and then threw a couple clamps in there, and it worked fine, worked good. But when I go to make the big full-scale one, these will be like 3/8 inch tubing of some sort to get that. That's the scaled down version of the arc of the canopy bows. So, but that's looking good. I'll take and review this video and see how this looks, if I like the profile, or if I need to shorten this end up, make it a little farther back here is all. That would be a more true bubble shape here when it blows. It'll be a rounder here, and then it tapers back, and then it'll hopefully taper down back here is what I'm after. So, okay folks, as always, feel free to leave me any comments, questions, concerns. I'll answer them as they come along, and again, appreciate everybody taking their time to watch all these videos. Been getting some pretty good view counts out of you and a lot of questions, and I like the questions, and like I said, these videos are more intended for somebody that's interested in building an airplane on some of the stuff they can expect, or if they got a plane they want to do something, I may be giving them some ideas on how to do stuff like this. So this is a pretty complicated thing. I'm eventually going to get it wired up into a schematic, an actual schematic that will show the relays and all the pinouts and everything. So if anybody would ever need something like that in the future, I'll have a hard copy on a memory stick or in my computer, and then be able to print out the papers. So, okay folks, I'm going to let her go here, and if I get anything going this weekend, I'll post another video. So, like I say, I doubt I'll be getting down to the airport much anymore. Weather I expect is going to be turning for the worse. So, and this weekend, of course, is Christmas weekend. So, I hope everybody has a happy Christmas, and we'll see you guys again whenever I can. All right, take care, folks. This is Dino Don out.